Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
On goes ball. People might yet win it here for Wolves. Flash in the shot. What a goal!
Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Wolves Fancast preview show. I'm your host tonight, Little Dan, and tonight I've got with me Luke and Kim. Luke, as you weren't on last Sunday's post-match podcast after the win against Southampton, what was your opinion on the performance and the win?
Fantastic win. You know, who don't like winning? Winning's winning. Everyone loves a win. So you can't really grumble. Southampton, they're one of those teams, aren't they? That, for being honest, they're a bit crap, but they can beat you on their day. And the way the game started, they had something like 6 corners in the first 10 or 15 minutes there. They're pinning us in a little bit, but you know, as the game went on, we just grew into it, and I thought Podence played really well again. I thought King Kilman, as me and you call him, Dan, was absolutely fantastic.
I'm just so glad that we got ahead of the hype and was backing him from the start, because some of them Wolves fans who was out there they can't spot a player when it's right in front of them.
Exactly.
You two are not allowed. You're not allowed to join the club. It's closed now. There's enough.
We started the club.
We started the club. We numerous times off camera said Nuno isn't utilising him. He needs to play right centre back, and then he'll fully come on as a player.
I'll tell you who impressed me though, to be fair. Totti Gomez. I thought he slotted in really well. He looked comfortable.
Effortless.
Physical lad. He can play as well. A good debut for him. So I was really pleased with that. Sarr again, absolutely fantastic. He's got to be up there with one of the best keepers we've ever had. Got to be. And I mean, we all know how good old Mickey Stell was, but Sarr's got to be up there.
Just how good is this keeper for us, Kim? Jose Sarr. I think he's cost us less than 7 or 8 million. I mean, he's just riding around Compton, just having a laugh. And he's just, what more could you want in a goalkeeper apart from clean sheets and just not conceding many like he's done this season?
And he's a cool guy, right?
The guy's got it all.
I think that just typified him when Cody scored the third, and he literally ran the whole length of the pitch. I can't imagine Rui Patricio ever doing that, and I love Rui, but
he did coming off his line, never mind running down the other end of the pitch.
Yeah, true. But just generally, I felt like we were easily going to keep a clean sheet on Sunday, other than obviously the flipping wonder goal that two goalkeepers probably wouldn't have saved that. 2 in the net, he'd still ping it in top corner, James Ward-Prowse. So, yeah, I think you run out of praise for him, don't you, really? I think that's the reason, really, why our defence has been so good this season, just because I think they've got so much confidence in the fact that he's always going to either parry it, come out for it, and just release the ball faster, which often I think Rui, it wasn't his natural game to do that. So, yeah, pretty impressive all round, really.
If the government was as proactive as Jose Sarr, we would never have been in this situation.
We'd have been back in the office 12 months ago.
There'd have been no WFH, no working from home. All that's gone out the window. We'd all been, Blast Off would have been back open, Cheekies would have been back open. The world would have been a whole lot better place. Anyway, this Saturday.
If Boris resigns, is Sarr getting the job? Is that what we're saying?
Give it Jose till the end of the year. Jose Sarr.
No, because hang on, we need him in goal for Wolves. Never mind, we're in the country.
Boris has barely done the job 7 days a week. I'm sure Jose can fill in now and then.
Oh, Jota's just scored, by the way.
Is that 1-0 Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, is it? Never mind, it's only a Mickey Mouse Cup anyway. this Saturday, 3 p.m, away to Brentford. Can anyone tell me Brentford's new stadium name?
Probably something like the Brentford Community
Jeez.
Stadium,
Stadium.
sponsored
Is
by
it-
Domino's.
I was doing a little audio snippet for the Besotted Brentford podcast earlier, and there's two little moments where I'm doing my audio snippet, and you can tell I'm trying to get the name out. And I'm just like, and your new stadium. Just, I had no idea. I never went to Griffin Park. I'm going Saturday. Hopefully, we can get a
What is
good
it
result.
called? Do you not know?
No,
Brentford Community Stadium.
I'm just going off your
Yeah.
word.
Is it?
It's got to, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Last time out, they did an absolute number on us. Wolves lost 2-0 at home to Brentford, and Ivan Toney penalty after a Marcel mishap off a corner, and Patrick Mbumo made it 2-0 just before half-time. I think if we were still playing that game today, we still wouldn't have scored. Jimenez missed an absolute sitter with a header, Adama at the bar, and if you all remember back, Jimenez tried that Rabona, and I think that was one of the most comical moments of our season so far. Any memories from that game for you two that stand out?
It's just one of those shit games.
Do you know what I remember? I remember being on this podcast and saying that we'd win 3-0. That's all I remember. And then just playing like we were just never, ever going to score if you played for 2 days in that game. So, yeah, we'd like to erase that one from our memory.
I had 10 men for half hour as well, and we still looked toothless.
I'm going to get Billy on now from the Besotted podcast. How you doing, Billy?
Hello, how you doing, everybody? All good?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
good,
Glad to have you back, Billy.
Hi, Billy.
Can you
Thanks
cast
for
your
inviting
mind back to our prediction scores in the Molyneux fixture earlier on in the year?
Tell you something, I can't. I mean, at that stage, let me see. I was probably being quite cagey. I probably went for a 2-2 draw or something like that. Was it?
I think it was more the fact that Kim, to your right on the screen, predicted Wolves to win 3-0.
Oh, yeah.
And I predicted Wolves to win 4-0.
Okay.
So it was quite an embarrassing podcast looking back, but you guys did an absolute number on us, didn't you?
Yeah, it was quite a good day out in all, actually. I mean, it made up for the fact it was a 12:30 kickoff, which isn't great, but it's one of them things that we had to do. It was very early on in our Premier League adventure, as we could say, and it was a laugh, actually. You know, it was great. You know, I remember coming up in the car with my daughter and my mate. You know, getting there early, found a boozer that actually opened before 11 o'clock as well. And like I said to you, it's quite a sunny day. You know, and I remember also actually by the side of the pitch, you had the old fire. You had all the fire going as well. You sort of like almost sort of burnt people's eyebrows out actually as these flames came from the side of the pitch. That was quite bizarre. But
It's a weekly occurrence, that is, though.
Is it? Oh my God!
It is.
God,
Part of our intimidating atmosphere process.
Wow! They need to put a few disclaimers and a few warnings for people just to let them know.
We're just trying to get the temperature gauge right before we play West Brom right again.
I see. No, I hear that. Well, you know, and I'm just going to throw a pun in there, but it obviously fired up our boys actually for the game. So you know, so it was a good. Yeah, no,
it used to be even hotter though. We used to put fireworks into the fans back in the day. It used to be hotter.
Yeah, I bet you did. Yeah.
No, we actually did.
One game, yeah, Billy, and was it an FA Cup game?
It was against Newcastle.
No, it was Newcastle in the Premier League. Was it literally, Billy?
Yeah.
We had a firework that went haywire and hit a fan in the face.
Oh no!
That's got to be like 15, 16, 17, 18 years ago now.
Well before health and safety was a thing.
And then it happened again, didn't it? Didn't it, like a few seasons ago when we started
from
playing
that one,
with fireworks again?
They never learned the lessons down the wall. Straight fireworks all over the place, and what happens.
That's right. But yeah, I mean, like I said to you, we went into that match. We'd beaten Arsenal, but other than that, I think we had a couple of draws. We drew at Villa, and we drew at Villa, and we drew also away at Crystal Palace, and then we'd lost to Brighton with a last-minute goal, I think it was, after the international break. So we came into that game sort of one win, but we were all just happy to be there because we're in the Premier League. And I think for me, I was thinking to myself, like, you were creating, we talked about it, you were creating a lot of chances, but you weren't putting them in the back of the net as it was. And I came in, I remember on this podcast, and I said to you, the thing is that, you know, you can't go around and start creating all those chances, so many chances, and not put them in the back of the net forever. Somebody's going to come a bit of a cropper. But, you know, and I was, you know, a little bit worried that we might be in the team that was going to be the one that came up against you. So I think I was hoping, and I can't remember, that I was hoping if we can get a result, if we can get a draw up at Wolves, that'd be a good result for us. But, things kind of went our way. We came out, there's old school Brentford and new school Brentford, as I call it. And we were old school Brentford there, where we're fighting for every ball. The fight in midfield was there. Ivan Toney was chomping at the bit to score a goal that day, which he scored a great goal. It was actually that was his first goal, or his only goal in open play before last night. He scored a goal against Man United, in midweek this week, and that was his first goal in open play. Other than that, Ivan Toney. But I thought we put up a good show against Wolves. Who, listen, you've obviously proven since then that you're a good team. You play good football. You know this division, and you know how to kind of maneuver yourself around this division. But that was old school Brentford before injuries took their toll, and the injuries have really taken their toll on us now. And we're very much a different team than the team that you saw that came down to you back in September.
What was your thoughts on last night's defeat at home to Man United? 3-1 was a flattering scoreline, shall we say, from my point of view.
Yeah, I mean, it was flattering. Thomas Frank said his thing after the match, which got Man United fans very upset. But the thing about Thomas Frank, you have to understand, he's not rude. He's Scandinavian, and Scandinavians just say it as it is. And he came out and he said it as it is, and he just basically, in effect, he says we battered Man United in the first half, but we didn't put the ball. He goes, yeah, we didn't put the ball in the back of the net. He says, I know about all that nonsense. He goes, which is true, but he goes, we didn't take our chances. But we played very well. So as far as he's concerned, he's the way Brentford operate. And I said this before. If we're creating chances, that's a good thing. If we're not creating chances, it's a bad thing. If we create chances and put the ball in the back of the net, that's a very good thing. And there's an argument to say that if you're creating lots of chances and your players aren't putting the ball in the back of the net, if you brought in an expensive player from another team and put them on the end of those chances, that player would put the ball in the back of the net. So you're better off being in that position than being in the team which is not creating any chances. Then you think, oh no, I've got to bring in a striker and get them to score. And you're thinking, well, if you're not creating the chances, you're still ain't going to score. You see, so Thomas is very much of that mentality. So, and he believes it didn't happen against Man United, but if we continue to do this for the rest of the season, I haven't got any problems because we're going to score at some stage. So, he did that. And, in that first half, we could have been at least 2-0 up, if not 3-0 up. And if we'd gone 3-0 up at half time, it would have been a different situation in the second half. But we didn't go 2 or 3-0 up at half time. We were 0-0 at half time. And all us Brentford fans, even though we were very happy with the performance at half time, we just thought, I wonder if this is going to cost us. Obviously, Man United went in, got a rollicking from Ralph at half time, and they came out in the second half. And, they were, I say, a different team. They took the game to us. They're a lot less passive, and they've got great players. Everyone could slag them off, but I'm not being funny. They're Man United, and their players cost a lot of money, and they're very good at what they do if they get into the position. So they got in the position and they scored. They scored some good goals. And we can't deny that. So. Brentford fans went away a little bit disappointed, but they were actually not that disappointed because we felt we let ourselves down at Southampton, where we were terrible, and against Liverpool, where we weren't really that much at the races either, to be quite honest with you. But it is Liverpool, but there's no excuses. So we thought, Man United, if we're the same, we could really let ourselves down. Yes, they scored 3 goals in the second half, but, listen, they deserve to score the 3 goals. But it's almost like, Liverpool, compare Liverpool and the Man United, and we put up much of a fight, more of a fight against Man United, and could have definitely had that game. 2-0, like I said, 1 or 2-0, you go up. It's a different game in the second half. Man United have to come at you. We love teams when they start coming at us as well, but it wasn't to be. But I'll be honest with you, I'm very philosophical about this season. I just want us to stay up. I know that, if we stay up, then that will create more opportunity for us next season. So we have to be realistic. And I said after we beat Aston Villa on the 2nd of January, after we beat Aston Villa and they went 1-0 up, and then a very good goal actually that they scored. And then we came back and we scored, 2 goals. I think it was in the second half, but we came back and went 2-1. The Villa fans were really, really gutted, and they couldn't quite understand how we beat them. And, there's an argument to say maybe we shouldn't have. It's one of those games where, we got the result. But after that game, the 2nd of January, I mean, I turned around on the podcast and I said, to be honest with you, we don't need to sort of win another game until probably the end of February now, sort of kind of working out how the Premier League goes. Because I was just thinking, let's not get too ahead of ourselves now. We've got Man City, we've got Man United, we've got Liverpool, we've got, Wolverhampton, we've got, Man City coming up. And I'm not being negative, but I just thought, let's just tailor ourselves down, win this game. We're in a half decent position. Let's just look at the next game that we realistically think, maybe we should win, which might be something like Newcastle at home, which is going to be a game where, again, you're looking at picking points out, which is towards the end of February. And then you start looking at March and April. And, we probably need to win 3-4 more games to stay up in this division. So for me, I'm looking at the long term and thinking, as long as between now and May, we can win 4 more games, I'm quite happy about that. So yeah.
I think you're averaging something like 1 win a month. I think is it at the moment. I think was it something like I saw a stat like you'd won 1 game every month, and Wolves were the one in August or something daft like that. For those that didn't watch the game last night, Billy, what was the tactical change that Man United made against your Brentford side there?
Well, you said the tactical change. What you mean in the second half?
Yeah, Thomas Frank did make a comment, didn't he, that Man United had to change their system against Little Brentford.
That's right. I mean, basically, what's happened is that they're going to check it out. They went because basically we played 3-5 at the back. Is what we played, and in the second half, I think to combat what we were doing, I think Man United went 3-5 at the back as well. And they sort of brought the bringbacks into play. Again, we chatted to United We Stand, which is the United fanzine, beforehand as well. And they're talking about how Ralph is coming in. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to get Man United, if I remember rightly, to start playing a different system to what they're normally used to. Now, what I think, and again, I'll have to sort of check this out, is that maybe, he's not either having problems or the team decided that they feel more comfortable playing one particular way. And it wasn't working out for them. So Ralph actually probably kind of instilled into them, right, here we go. We're going to be doing this wingback thing that I told you about. And they did it. And it obviously paid off for them, So, I mean, that's what Thomas was talking about. I think I think more to the point, what Thomas was saying is that, he goes, he's basically, I think he's saying, just don't put us down. Not saying that you're putting us down, but you don't put us down because at the end of the day, we had a particular plan which was working, but we didn't score, and the fact that Man United, through all their history and their wealth and everything like that, had to change things up to kind of match what we're doing, which is what a good manager should do. He just thought that you've got to kind of also tip your hat to kind of what we were doing. And I think what he does is he takes the heat off the players a bit. People saying, you didn't score those goals, what you're doing. And he's just saying, well, they did everything right but score. And Man United had to change what they were doing to actually kind of compete against us. So that's, I think, Thomas, I think I quite like what he does, where he likes to take the heat off the players a lot, whereas a lot of managers, sometimes you see they go in and they'll blame the players straight up, which I don't know how that goes down in the dressing room afterwards, but fair play to Thomas.
Kim, are you with us, Kim?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Saturday's game, 3-1 against Southampton. Who stood out from our lineup for you to give some advice to Billy?
It's a difficult one, isn't it, really? Because I guess going forward, I don't think we were particularly great. I thought everyone was okay. I think it was more around how well defensively we played. I think I said on the podcast on Sunday, I think for me, Kilman and Sarr were absolutely outstanding. And I guess we were actually really good, I think, going forward from centre-back. So there was a lot of chances for Kilman, Cody, when they came up from corners. I think we look a real threat in the air now. Obviously, I suppose you could say Pedence has been in form the last few sort of games, looked really sharp, looks like he's actually going to create some chances. So, yeah, I suppose you could say Pedence. I guess the wing-backs are obviously sort of looking like they could create and get the ball in the box early. So, yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think we're actually we're solid as opposed to looking like we're going to hit 3 or 4 a game, despite actually hitting 3 the last 2 games. But I can't see us scoring more than 1 or against Brentford. I think if we're going to get the win, it's going to be a scrappy 1-0 where we defend for our lives and then maybe nick a goal in the second half. I'm definitely not going to be overconfident after what happened last time.
Luke, there's the old saying about you should never change a winning side, but Ruben Neves declared himself fit for Saturday's game. Does he come back in for Dendoncker for you?
Yeah, straight away. Straight away. If Neves is fit, he plays, and if he's the main man at the minute. I think the way he's played this season, long term, we have to build the team around him. It's as simple as that. So if he's fit, he plays. Just touching on what Kim's saying, I'm just looking at our away form this season, and I think we've only scored more than 1 goal twice away in the league this season.
Watford and Villa, isn't it?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4 blanks away from home. So it's one of them. I don't know if we're doing predictions, but yeah, if we could take a 1-0, I think you take it. I think
the way those tactical lineups are set out there, Billy, you've got sort of an extra man in the middle of that midfield. Who's the sort of the holding midfielder in those 3 between Jensen, Norgard, and Janelt?
Norgard is our CDM. And when he's on his game again, he's a quality CDM. He played against England in the European Championship semi-final at Wembley as well. In fact, when England played Denmark over in Denmark, was it might have been the Nations League or one of those matches when they beat us 1-0, I think it was, and he actually got player of the match in that. He's a brilliant he's a brilliant player when he's on his game. So he plays CDM. Janelt can also play in that position as well. So if Norgard's injured, he'll actually play in that position. And Janelt he's a bit of a sort of kind of, what's that, a firebrand, but he's a player he's all over the place. He really is. I think he either got COVID or he got injured recently, so he's not quite been the same as he has been as of recently. But yeah, he's again they're great. He's a great player. I mean, the argument that we have is sometimes in our midfield, because we have got injuries, and I'm not making that excuses at all, but it's looking for the creativity where we've got kind of quite sort of solid kind of tackling, breaking up attack type players in the midfield, but looking for the creativity now. The creativity comes from Jensen at the moment now, and Jensen's the guy who missed the 3 chances against Man United. When he's 1-on-1 with the keeper. Again, he did great in getting into his positions, but his conviction wasn't quite the same. And he's the kind of player, whereas if you're in that position, you probably wouldn't want him to be the one to be trying to put the ball into the back of the net. We have a bit of an in-joke on the Besotted podcast, and so you can check us out, prideofwest.london, because we're actually going to record our podcast Friday, so it should be out for the Wolves fans and the Bees fans to check that out as well. But we have a little joke as to whether or not it's going to be good Jensen or bad Jensen going to be turning up for any match, and we've had sort of quite a few bad Jensens as of late. But for the Man United game, we think it was actually good Jensen that turned up, except for his shooting ability wasn't as good as it should normally be. But also just looking at the lineups, as you say, because like I said to you, we went 3 at the back, 5 at the back in the last season, championship season, because we came a little bit of a cropper when we had a few injuries, which actually kind of misbalanced our side, and our usual 4-3-3 wasn't working for us as well, and we were getting quite a few draws and I think a few losses, which we weren't expecting. So we went 3-5 at the back, and it worked for us, and we come into this season going 3-5 at the back as well. So what I'll say is how it's actually worked is that obviously David Raya, about him, brilliant goalkeeper, out for 5 months. So he was out from October, and he's not back till probably March if we're lucky. This is just kippered us massively, because I didn't realise, and I put my hand up and I'll say that I thought, David Raya, I know he's a great goalkeeper, just put in another goalkeeper, all he needs to do is save the ball and it'll be fine. But you didn't realise how much important he is to steadying the defence, being a sweeper keeper as he is, who can sort of take on, forwards, kind of sort of nutmeg them and then play the ball 30 yards down to a midfielder or a striker, or put the ball in the back of the net. All these things, we missed that massively when he came in. And the substitute keeper was actually Fernandes, who played about 10 or 11 games. He was only a lone keeper who came in, and he's, this is not his fault. He's been parachuted in, and he made quite a few mistakes. It has to be said, but also, he's pulled off quite a few saves. But I think the one thing is that, if you see a goalkeeper, you could see whether or not the defense is comfortable with a goalkeeper in front of them. And there's a question mark as to whether they were or not with Fernandes. So after the Southampton game, or the Liverpool game, we brought in another sub keeper that we actually brought in from Denmark, which is Lossell. We brought him in from FC Midtjylland, which is the club that our owner owns in Denmark, and he actually used to play for Everton and also played for Huddersfield when they were in the Premier League as well. And we brought him in, and he was, inverted commas, meant to be the substitute to Fernandes. But after a few games, all of a sudden, he seems to be slotted into the side. So he played against Man United. He didn't make any actual saves as such, I don't think. So people are putting their question mark saying, oh, okay, is he any good? But the one thing that I'd say about him, I've noticed, is that he's 32 years old, and he is an experienced keeper, and he points, when pointing, goalkeeper's just pointing there, all over the place. So he's sort of commanding the area, commanding his box, and doing things as goalkeepers do. So that'll be interesting. I'm pretty sure that he's going to be in goal on Saturday as well. Also, I noticed, I think that Rico Henry's going to be back. He's been injured. So he's going to be playing at left wing back. And also, interestingly, Aya is another player who's been missing, who, since he's been out of the side, we've just, our play, the way that we've been playing, that you knew us for, has just kind of, I'd say, fallen to pieces, but it's just been really patchy, because he's our record signing, 13.5 million, brought him from Celtic, a centre-back, with Rolls Royce of a centre-back, as I say, puts the ball at feet, picks it up, really calms the defence, runs up with the ball at his feet, and he's been, honestly, he's unbelievable. Out for 3 or 4 months. I went to Port Vale in the Cup, and he came back for the first time since October in that match, and I completely forgot what he was all about until he picked up the ball, and next minute he was in the Port Vale penalty area, and I thought, oh my God, I completely forgot what I was about. But he's still easing him back, so he didn't play against Man United. He was on the bench for Man United because we, obviously we can't play him too much because we've got to make sure we don't break him. But I'm sure that, I want to say sure, but I would like to think that he's going to come back against Wolves, because it's a big game against you guys, and let's see what he's going to do. But he's honestly, he's a fab player. But for me, and again, I'm not knocking us at the moment now, because we have got a lot of injuries, and we're also looking to sign a couple of players, or a few players. We're looking to sign a right wing back. We're trying to sign a left back. We're putting on offers for a few left backs as well from different continents as well, which we do know who they are beside, but we're not privy to say at the moment now as well. We've also got a winger that we've gone in for. We've gone in for a Ukrainian winger who's meant to be pretty hot as well, and we put a bid in for him. Again, they're stalling on that to see what's going to happen, and also everyone knows that there's the Brennan Johnson bids that we've gone in for, where we've been tracking him for quite a while, actually, since the last window as well, from Nottingham Forest. He's quite a tidy player who plays for Forest as well, so we've been tracking him from before this, well, obviously for a long time, but the summer we went in for him and we didn't quite get him in the summer, and we're kind of going for him again. And that's something that we miss pace in our side. We miss real pace in our side. So since Benrahma left, we've missed that. We've managed to deal without it, but to get a player in with pace is actually going to give us different options, where a player can actually pick the ball, run at the opposition, and give them something to think about. So that's kind of where we're at, with the players who are actually in the side and the players who potentially might be coming in. But like I said to you, for me, I'm just looking at picking up points here and there between now and maybe sort of March and April, when our full team comes back. Because I think when our full team comes back, we're going to be very much more like the team that you saw that played you down at Molineux back in September. But at the moment now, we are pretty much fingering the dam, just trying to get through this tricky period and then get on to the next phase.
You mentioned pace a few moments ago, and he was reporting in the Telegraph earlier on this evening that Wolves have rejected a £15 million bid from Tottenham Hotspur Hotspur for Adama Traore. We'll talk about the transfer fee in a moment, but you're not allowed the default answer of Adama Traore. Who are you concerned about from our lineup, Billy?
It's funny because you said that. I mean, obviously, I remember I said Traore last time to you, and everyone was a little bit kind of unimpressed by my answer because you were saying that he can't put the ball into the back of the net, like But I thought that he is a player who potentially, again, it's about potential, can actually cause people problems. So I think that's quite interesting that Tottenham are putting a bid for him as well. I mean, again, I don't know how serious that you think it is, but but other than that, I mean, who would I say who's who I'm kind of a little bit nervous about? I'd say probably. So I'd say, I'd say, I don't know, Connor Cody, old school. You know what I'm saying? Jimenez, maybe. I don't know. Maybe Jimenez. At the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see the battle up between our defenders and your guys. And your
the correct
guys.
answer is you should fear the lot of us because we're fucking Wolves and we're the best team in the world, mate.
That is right. I mean,
there was no, you know what, Luke? I'm glad you've jumped in there because there's literally no fear whatsoever, was there? It's just like, you got
even name anyone.
You got Connor Cody, you got flipping Joe Martino's 59 years old. Don't worry about him. Come on, Billy, give us something. Who are you scared of?
Listen, You caught me up there. I didn't do the old. I've done the old research, but listen. I'd say I don't know. I just listen. At the end of the day,
if you think them all shit, Billy, just say.
If you think we're shit, Billy, get it off your chest. You've already done us. You've done us 2-0 already this season. The only thing I can remember about Brentford in your club's history is that tweet where you put retweet if you're top of the league, and the Wolves fans used to retweet it every single week after we beat you to the top in League One.
That was a long time ago, though, wasn't it?
Still feels like yesterday to me, Billy. But I'm caught in a bit of a time lapse where I don't know what year it is anymore, but it feels like yesterday to me.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But no, I'm gonna go. Listen, let me go Jimenez, though. You know what I'm saying? Let me go Jimenez, because at the end of the day, is who's going to it's about the battle between your guys up front and our guys in the middle, and we have also we've got a mistake in us in our defence at the moment now. You know what I'm saying? And I want to see how we potentially can shore that up if Aya comes back in, if Henry comes back in, because that's really important. Because when we played you early on in the season, we were one of the top 3 tightest defences in the league. And we were, and that's what that was a cornerstone of what we were about. And then after that, we were kind of nicking goals here and nicking wins here or there. Since, like I said to you, since October, we had the players out. We've gone back down to being kind of what I'd say one of the top, bottom 6 or bottom 7 worst defenses in the league. Okay, and the defense has got a mistake in them. So that for me is going to be the key to see what's happening there. Yeah, midfield's going to be very important. But it's kind of like, sometimes we do a lot of really good things and then we make that stupid mistake. So it's kind of like if you've got your strikers on the ball and our defenders are not on the ball, that's kind of where the game could be lost or won.
I don't know about you, Luke and Kim. I think one of the key areas for me, like you just mentioned, Billy, earlier on, is missing David Raya in between your sticks, because I don't think Lossell or Fernandez have cottoned on that you can change your goalie gloves midway through a game to waste a bit of time.
No, they can't. They can't do that. But to be fair, the goalkeeper gloves that David Raya had down at Molineux were very fragile. You see, and they need to be put on in a particular type of way.
He'd been gardening in the morning, and
That's right. So I think that, to be fair, and like I said to you, I mean, this is one of those things that maybe we should have sort of kind of put the information out beforehand. How difficult it is to remove and put on those particular type of gloves. But I thought he did a good job in it at the end of the day, though, David.
Thankfully, the government restrictions have been lifted on gloves now.
Wolves fans were so bitter about that time wasting for about 2 months. Literally, you couldn't.
I know what we do there.
Are you still bitter now?
and waste time for the next 89.
But I listen. I hear that, and listen. Everyone's entitled to that. Because at the end of the day, we do the same thing where we go away and we sit down there and people call it time wasting, whether or not it's called time management, which whatever you want to call it. But what we thought was quite interesting because you talked about us sort of kind of our time management for the game against you. And then, if I remember rightly, you did exactly the same thing. It was a week or two late. Was it the Tottenham game or the Southampton game?
Never happened.
Got the wrong side, Billy. Got the wrong side.
You think about
We never do that.
Exactly the same thing. I remember.
Never happened.
And it was commented on. So listen, all we're going to say is that listen, if you give it, you've got to take it as well. So like we do it sometimes, and then we've had it done back to us, or initially she was done to us, and then we've finally, after about 7 years, have learned actually kind of how to do it. Because Nottingham Forest used to do it to us. All teams used to do it to us. God, Nottingham Forest was the worst ones that used to do it. Actually, what's his name in goal? God, he knew how to wind people up. But at the end of the day, like I said to you, have to give it and take it. And we've had games after that where teams are just Man City are the best. Man City, brilliant. Literally, you just blow at them and they're falling over, rolling all over the place,
So Man City, it's the fouls that they give away. Those tactical fouls, and they never get booked. And everybody knows what they're doing because they've been doing it ever since Pep's been in charge. That's what does my head in about Man City.
Yeah, no, they're very good at that. But they listen. Foden, he wobbles, but he don't fall down. He set dirt, definitely does fall down. And again, we had to just put our hands up and say, okay, that's fair enough. Well, that's kind of what they do, and it's up to the ref to decide to have control of the game and see what he's going to do. Because at the end of the day, it's whoever's in control of that game who's going to actually kind of make things move on as it goes, and teams will try and get away with what they can try and get away with to try and control that game. At the end of the day, Man United yesterday, when they saw we were coming back into it to a certain extent at the back end, all of a sudden they started to fall over. McTominay started to fall over. They were all falling over the place and rolling over and getting cramp and everything like that because they knew that they had to stop the momentum that we kind of had towards the back end of the game, because you could see with Man United, if you actually go at them, they start to crumble a little bit, and we had a little moment where all of a sudden sort of scored a goal. If you scored a second goal, that could have been a sort of kind of very nervous 10 minutes. So they did what they had to do with all their tricks, and they managed to kind of quell that moment. So you understand that. And, the argument obviously from the fans was the referee, you've lost control, you don't know what you're doing. But like I said to you, it swings and roundabouts. You do it some weeks, other teams do it other weeks, and that's kind of the way it goes.
We're midway through the Premier League season now. Game week 23 is nearly upon us. Looking at those fixtures this weekend, obviously Wolves away at Brentford at 3:00. Any fixtures there that you'll be looking out for with a bit more intent, Luke?
I think the ones that stand out from our point of view, you've got Man U, West Ham. That's a game we should keep a close eye on. Chelsea, Tottenham. And at the bottom end of the table, I like the look of Leeds, Newcastle. That could be an interesting one. Sorry,
what about you, Kim?
Pretty much the same. I think you'd like to think that Leicester maybe could slip up against Brighton. You never know. They're not too far behind us.
And 6 points behind Wolves at the moment. Leicester with 2 games in hand. Obviously, that defeat last night. I don't know if any of you caught that game. Unbelievable scenes at the end for the Tottenham fans.
That is why you love football, though, innit? Yeah. Like those kind of games where literally they didn't even have a hope of getting a draw, never mind a win. Amazing scenes.
It was Villa Wolves vibes, wasn't it? How like that comeback was. I want to try and put you all on the spot for a second here. Obviously, Billy's got high optimism that Brentford will stay up this season. Who are the 3 teams for you that are sort of destined to be playing West Brom next season?
I wouldn't say destined, but I think that the teams, and again, I'm saying this because what I'm going to do is I'm going to diplomatically just take ourselves out of the picture to say that, listen, if we're not in that relegation thing, I'm not saying that we're not going to be, but I'm just saying if we aren't out of it, looking at the other teams who I believe are going to be in, and I think that Norwich, I think it's going to be Norwich. I think it's going to be Burnley. Norwich, Burnley, Newcastle and Watford are the 4 teams who are going to be in that mixer. And the reason why I say that is that Norwich, even though interestingly, you know, where they are, you know, they've picked up a few points recently, and you know, if they go on a few runs, you know, they could be out of it. But they played us and they beat us. Actually, it was their first game where they beat us, and then they sacked their manager about an hour after beating us, which was quite bizarre. We played them in the first half again. They caught us out and we fluffed it again. But in the second half, we absolutely battered them. But we just again couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. But after that, I just thought, you know, actually, tell you something, you know, Norwich might, you know, they've got Dean Smith, who we know very well. I thought Norwich would get out of this. I thought they'd do okay, you know. But since then, they picked up literally hardly any points. And I was thinking, God, it must be just really hard, because when you're down there, if you're not picking up any points, then, you know, it doesn't matter what the teams are doing above you. It's going to be really difficult. Yes, I think they got a win the other day against Everton, actually, which is like, you know, which has actually kind of boosted them. But I'm not quite sure about Norwich. I just think that it is quite hard the position they're in. So I'm looking at them. Newcastle. Now, I went to Newcastle. 3,000 of us, well, probably more than that, went up to Newcastle. What a weekend that was. I mean, again, I've been there before. Oh, it's just a brilliant weekend. Fantastic stadium, atmosphere, 3-3 game. Honestly, it took the whole family. It absolutely almost bankrupted myself. Like, you know, went up there for 3 days. Like, you know, it was great, though. And so we actually don't want Newcastle to go down, because we actually want to go back there next season. And after we played them, you know, I thought they were up front. They were great, like, you know. Can
I stop you there for a second, Billy? Can I stop you there? Luke, Kim, do you want Newcastle to go down?
Yeah.
Billy, you do know you can go to Newcastle any other weekend in the year.
Yeah, but it's not the same when you go there for football, man. It's great. And the thing is, I found Newcastle a little bit, I thought it was a bit cliched, because everyone, like, when they go to Sunderland or they go to Borough, they go, oh, we're going to Newcastle for the weekend. And we're like, oh, that's a bit cliched. When you go to Borough, because it's a great night out. Sunderland is great. And so I've been to Newcastle a few times in and around when Brentford are not playing at Newcastle, because obviously we were never in the same league as them, except for one time. But I went out this time, and honestly, it was wicked. But, you know, coming back to that, you know, then after they got the point against us, they couldn't win for toffee. And I was thinking, cool. And they keep just letting in goals. There's so many goals they were letting in. And I was thinking, this is going to be quite hard for them. So Newcastle, I think, you know, are in a bit of a precarious position. You know, I know they've got loads of money, but it's going to be hard to bring players in the situation that you're at. You know, they spent a lot of money on Trippier, which is, I think, is quite interesting. You know, but it's about, you know, having a real proper structure rather than just buying players willy-nilly, you know, just to try and kind of just get them out of a predicament. And then the third team was difficult because it's between Burnley and Watford, I thought. But when we played Burnley, we went there, and again, it's quite funny because all the bottom teams we sort of seem to struggle against. We went to Burnley. I mean, it took us about 5 hours to get there, or 6 hours. But, you know, freezing cold, snowy, rainy, horrible. Rail replacement service, and then we got there into the stadium, and they just battered us. Like in the first half, they were outside, and they played really, really good football. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're on the floor, passing game, pressing game was totally on point. And they beat us, and we just put our hands up and said, you were better than us, like, you know, end of story. And I said to them after that, I said, if they can continue to play like that, Burnley, they ain't going to have any problems. They're going to stay in this league. But again, they've sort of had tricky time, as in not sort of being able to maintain that. And then we played Watford, and they were pretty terrible. I've got to be honest with you, when we played them. So I'm sort of thinking to myself that Watford may be the third team out of Newcastle and Norwich that's going to be going down. And I'm going to say this, though, from my outside bet on this one, even though there is a big gap between those four and the next team. Everton, we played Everton. They came down to us, and they were by far the worst team that we played this season. They were terrible. And we beat them 1-0, a horrible, scrappy game. And it's a Sunday afternoon. You probably turned off if you were watching it on TV because it was terrible, you know. But they were, and I'm saying this with all due respect to Everton fans as well, because I'm not disrespecting them, because I know that you could be, you know, they might have had a terrible game against us and be better week after. But I stayed with an Everton fan when I went up to Liverpool last weekend as well. And she was just, you know, she was saying we really are terrible, and our club's soul's been ripped out of it and all this kind of stuff. But they really were quite bad as well. And if they continue to play like they did against us, they can actually get drawn into it. I'm thinking, you know, I know they've got a new manager coming, but honestly, I was quite shocked, because they had a great start to the season. They looked really good at the start of the season, Everton, but they've properly gone downhill. And I thought Newcastle looked better than them. I thought Norwich in the first half looked better than them. Burnley looked 10 times better than Everton did, like, you know, when we played them. So we'll see.
Who's your money on to get relegated, Kim? If you can keep it quick.
I think, to be honest, the ones that are currently in the relegation zones are Burnley, Newcastle, and Norwich. I suppose I think that Watford will have enough just purely because I think they can put the ball in the net, as opposed to I feel like I don't see where Burnley's goals, Newcastle's goals, and Norwich's goals are going to come from, because I think lately they haven't been scoring, especially Burnley. I feel like, even though I know they've got a few games in hand, I feel like this is the time that they're actually not going to get themselves out of it. The only other outside bet I'd say, and I think they're probably far enough ahead, is Leeds. Now, I think this depends on how quickly all of their injured players come back. I think, is it Bamford, Calvin Phillips? I know they've been out for a fair amount of time. So I think it depends if they get their team back. Obviously, they'll be fine. It's just I think they've got a really thin squad at the moment. So I know they beat West Ham the other day, but yeah, I think they're a bit hit and miss. So maybe they're an outside bet to get dragged in. But that, yeah.
Luke, I, as you're aware, went up to Liverpool last Friday to fast track a new passport. If Wolves don't finish in that fourth place, who's finishing fourth this season?
Who
Who laughed then? Who laughed? Who laughed about Wolves finishing fourth? Then I heard a giggle.
If Wolves don't finish fourth, it will be Arsenal.
What's your opinions on that, Billy? Obviously, there's a few teams fighting out for fourth place. We're only 6 points behind West Ham with 2 games in hand there.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. I thought, I wanted to go for the outside and say West Ham so they can upset the apple cart. But I think that Arsenal actually they've turned it around form wise. Even though I think they're looking like they're going out the cup as we speak, but that's a different story altogether. But form wise, even though we beat them at the beginning of the season, I actually watched the game back afterwards, and when I watched the game, everyone was slagging them off, saying they were really terrible. Then I looked at the game and thought, actually, they actually weren't that bad. They just didn't score, but other than that, their play was actually quite good. So I think they built upon that this season, and now actually they're actually playing some decent football. So I think they will probably sneak into the fourth spot.
Let's get back to our game on Saturday, because obviously that's the biggest game in the world of football this weekend. What's your score prediction, Billy?
I'm going to go for. We can't seem to keep a clean sheet, which probably means it's going to be 0-0. No, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'll be happy with a point. I'll be honest with you.
What about you, Luke?
1-1. Maybe we can sneak it 2-1 in the 98th minute after Brentford have wasted multiple minutes of time during the game.
Where's your money?
You are a bitter man, Luke.
Where's your money, Kim?
I'm going to be positive again, but I'm only going to go 1-0 Wolves this time. Another clean sheet. 94th minute, Kilman header.
Oh, we'd love a bit of that, wouldn't we, Lukey?
Oh, if Kilman scores, right, I'll tell you now, if Kilman scores on Saturday, we'll let you in the fan club. How's about that?
No, it's closed. Closed for all participants now.
It is closed.
You had to be there
to open it up.
No. You had to be there from the start.
We'll have to have a look at the paperwork when it arrives, Luke. It's on debate that. If you think you can do a better job than us four on screen, Wolves made a signing this week, but the Fancasters are looking to take on new members, any gender, 18 years or older, because we've got Stu and he can't be trusted. Got to be devoted to the Wolves and obviously be willing to appear on YouTube. If you're interested in joining the Wolves Fancast, giving your opinion, just want to talk about football, slide in our DMs or email us at podcast@wolvesfancast.com. Billy, as always, been a pleasure having you on. Hopefully, I'll catch a glimpse of you in the Old Men sulking on Saturday.
Well, we'll see actually. But thanks for inviting me on. And like I said to you, look, anything can happen in the football game, as we say on our podcast, Pride of West London, by the way. All I want to do is I want to make sure that we do all right to stay to the end of the season. So like I said to you, I'm not expecting the world, but I'm just keeping my fingers crossed we can get 3-4 more wins this season, and that will do me. And that's how many 18 games left? 3 or 4 wins. I mean, we're not used to this. Being in the Championship, don't forget, you do win a lot more games than that at the top. So this is a bit of a weird division where you're thinking one win a month, that will do us. Well, but we're happy to be here.
Just one last question before you go, Billy. Where are you advising Wolves fans to be partaking in the alcoholic activities this weekend?
Oh, yeah. So the Wolves fans, you will enjoy it because basically the Brentford drinking zone has been increased now that we've moved our stadium 15 minutes walk down the road. So the Wolves fan that used to come before, a couple of the pubs that were around the old stadium, particularly the Griffin, that's still open as well if people want to go there for a bit of old school. So there's a few pubs around the old stadium which are there if you want to go to. So you get up at Brentford Station and you go there. Also, there's the Globe pub, which is where the London Wolves and them lot of Wolves fans know about that. So they drink in there, the Globe pub as well, which is by the Great West Road, which is about 15 minutes walk from the new stadium, and also the Lord Nelson. So that's still open as well. So you can still do that little pub run down from Northfield Station all the way down to the Nelson and the Globe, and then maybe down to the Griffin and maybe the Black Dog. So that's the sort of kind of Brentford zone. Then also, if you want to, there's the Q zone, which are the pubs which are almost right on top of the station, on top of the stadium, which are right by Kew Bridge Station as well, which is people like the Express Tavern, which is right next to it, but it's going to get quite packed and it's going to be quite difficult to get drink there. One over the 8, which is over the other side as well. Then there's a load of pubs down on Strand on the Green, which is the really posh strip right by the river, where all the residents tried to stop our stadium from coming there because they were worried it's going to be full of football fans, but it didn't quite happen. So there's a few pubs down there as well, like I think it's the Bull's Head and the sort of the Bell and a few others by the river. And then if you go over Kew Bridge, there's a few pubs over there as well. So literally there are probably about 25 or 30 pubs in and around Brentford that Wolves fans can go to. My recommendation is going to the Brentford area because it's properly old school and you can actually go to the bar and have a drink there, but they're still all lively enough for you to get a football atmosphere as well. You can wear your colours. There's no segregation in any of the pubs, unlike in Wolverhampton. I know it's quite hard for away fans to get a drink, but in Brentford, literally, you can go to any pub as long as you've got manners, as you say. You could, have a drink, have a chat, buy you a beer, and you'll have a good time. Trust me, it's always been like that, and we'd like to keep it like that.
Did you say there was about 25 pubs to choose from?
Yeah, seriously. In fact,
wish I was going now.
January now.
Imagine doing Dry January, Kim. Imagine doing Dry January with a away trip like that.
Yeah, no, we're very. I think we're very lucky because people sort of think Brentford, where is that? But I don't know whether because it's an old industrial area with a Great West Road, where there's a lot of old factories, and the road used to sort of kind of trucks used to come in, and the factories used to take all the goods out to wherever it is, and they've also got a canal there. And I don't know if that's the reason why there's so many kind of pubs, maybe for all the workers in around that zone. But there are so many, and if you check out tomorrow, which is Friday, besotted.com, which is our website as well, we'll do a Wolves fan guide as well. So we'll do a guide for the game, like a preview for the game, which will also have our podcast on there as well. But also it's got, more importantly, a pub guide where it's got like a lot of the pubs inside there. So if Wolves fans want to check out where to go, just check out besotted.com, the match preview, and it's got a little pub guide there so you can check that out.
Thank you, Billy. If you remember, like I mentioned earlier in the previous Brentford Wolves podcast, I predicted Wolves to win 4-0, and I'm going to make a prediction now. We'll see you next season on the podcast.
Fingers crossed.
You can take that either way. Touch wood. Thank you, Billy. See you soon.
All right, then. Thanks for inviting me. Cheers.
Billy.
Bye.
Billy there from the Besotted podcast. We'll have ourselves a little break and then we'll do ourselves a little quiz, shall we?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hi everyone, Matt from Wolves Fancast here. If you're anything like me, time is of the essence these days. How am I meant to take training with my wonder kids on the managerial football simulation game that I'm not allowed to mention for legal reasons if I'm too busy worrying about my online media presence? Well, that's where our friends at pixelyetimedia.com come in. They're not just web designers, they're a creative agency that cover all of your design needs, from websites, brochures and signage to marketing, logo design and branding. So go check them out at pixelyetimedia.com. They'll get you set up quicker than Adama Traore running at a terrified left back. Speaking of which, who's got my baby oil?
Fancast quiz round sponsored by Pixel Yeti Media. Right, it's Luke versus Kim this week. I forgot to ask Gully, should have really been in here, but he'll come on again next week. Right, before we do the quiz, because I've just completely jumped a segment, Wolves made the signing of Chiquinho this week. Hopefully, he'll be in the match day squad away to Brentford. 5.5 million for the fantasy Premier League players out there. Excitement for this signing, Luke?
I don't really know much about him, to be fair. So I checked him out on YouTube. He looks all right, but then so did Stefan Meyerhofer. So I can't really take much from it. What I'll have to do is
Majanjabir looked unreal on YouTube.
Top notch. But what I'll do is, I'm actually 3 seasons in my Football Manager save, so I'll see how he's getting on there. And
right, let's
make my judgment on that because it will be facts.
Let's jump to the quiz.
He's gonna be Adama Traore's replacement, isn't he? I called it on Sunday in the podcast. That's what it is. Traore's going to go to Tottenham for 20 million. He'll be an absolute world beater at right back. That
he'll sign a new deal.
I've got a great meme picture lined up for the Twitter account if Adama goes this month. 5 years ago today, Wolves lost 3-1 away to Norwich City. Matt Doherty had to go in goal that day after Carl Akimi got himself sent off. Who scored for Wolves that day?
I hate it when you do quizzes.
I hate
5 years ago? 5?
Ridiculous.
I could have went 1994-95 season if you wanted to, but I thought I'd give you a chance.
Who scored that day?
So I think 5 years ago, think like who were some of our better players and just use a bit of logic and then just put an answer out there.
John Daddy Bodvarsson.
Luke?
Matt Doherty.
He's in goal, you know.
He won't go for 90 minutes.
Scored from in goal. Right, that was a thing that people pulled me up on Twitter today because I made the joke about who in today's current squad do you think would go in goal if Jose Sarr got sent off and we ran out of subs?
Neves?
Neves, yeah.
Neves been in goal?
Neves has been seen at Compton, hasn't he, doing like little saves and stuff. What's the saying for you, Luke? When a person like in a sports hall, goals in goal, but that can just come out. What's the phrase?
Fly
keeper. I had loads of people saying it's not fly keeper, it's rush goalie.
No, rush goalie, it's fly keeper.
Yeah.
And that's just the end.
If you're listening and you pulled me up on Twitter for rush goalie today, shut your pie face. The correct answer was Helder Costa from a penalty spot. Second question, because you mentioned him, Kim. John Daddy Bodvarsson signed for Bolton Wanderers today. He scored 3 goals for Wolves in his career. Can you name the 3 teams he scored against? I'll give you a point for each.
Is this open to anyone?
Yeah. So I'll take 3 answers off you each.
I'm gonna say no. I'll let Kim go first. Ladies first.
I'll go Reading. Rotherham and QPR.
Luke?
Reading and Rotherham. I don't know if she's got it with QPR or not.
Bear in mind, I'm not sure if Reading and Rotherham are right.
Rotherham 100% is. And Reading, Rotherham, Blues.
The correct answer was Rotherham, Birmingham City, and Bristol City.
Oh, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Right. Last question. 2007-2008 season. Who were the two Wolves players shown in the away kit?
Andrew Sermon and Andy Keogh.
Kim?
Kevin Foley. Lewis Goburn.
Oh, Lewis Garburn's a great shout. Unfortunately, it's wrong. The correct answers was Andy Keogh and Mark Little.
Oh,
Look how far we've come from Mark Little being the poster boy for the away kit.
So, do I get a medal or anything?
Your prize is in the post along with Kim's application to the Kilman Club. And on that note, we'll call tonight's episode to an end. Thanks for those who tuned in tonight, commented. Dean Marsden's comment saying, poor Stu. Just the facts are out there. You just need to open your mind to what he's capable of. Thanks to everyone who continues to support the Wolves Fancast, a part of the 90-minute network. As always, hopefully we'll see you again on Sunday with our post-match podcast with hopefully a win over Brentford. Goodbye for now.
Who would be a Wolves fan, eh? On goes Bull. People might yet win it here for Wolves. Flash in the